y'all, Dixie here. It's been a while since I've come to you from the gear closet, but today I want to talk to you more in depth about some of the gear that I tested out while I was on the West Highland Way. Now, I just want to specify, because I feel like anytime I say I tested out new gear, people think that means I'm sponsored or I've been given this gear. I purchased all of this gear with my money to use while I was out there trekking the West Highland Way. So the first piece of gear I want to tell you about is my new rain jacket, the women's Patagonia Torrent Shell. I opted for a heavier weight jacket than I normally would go with when I'm on a through hike where I'm carrying a lot on my back and I want to go as lightweight as possible. I've been known to carry things like the Enlightened Equipment women's Visp or the anti-gravity gear rain jacket. But from my experience on Mount Kilimanjaro, where basically I was carrying a day pack and so therefore didn't have as much weight on me as a normal backpacking trip, and then I experienced some cool temperatures and rain, I decided for a trip like that in the future that I would want a heavier weight rain jacket. So knowing that it rains in Scotland and it was going to be much cooler there than what I'm used to at home, I took my own advice and got the Torrent Shell. I was very pleased with the performance of the Torrent Shell. It kept me dry when I needed just an extra buffer from the wind. It kept me warm, and it has pit zips, so it does allow you to regulate your temperature some in that way. It weighs 12.4 ounces, so again, it wouldn't be my top pick for a through hike, but maybe even on a through hike where I've finished in the freezing rain, I would opt to have this sent to me and trade out a more lightweight rain jacket. And especially if I was to go on a trip like this again, where I know I'm gonna have a day pack and cold rain, I'm going with this jacket. Plus, it is cute enough to wear in everyday life. And for those of y'all who are wondering the price point, this rain jacket cost me $179. In the same category of rain gear, I took some Z-Packs rain mitts with me. This was my first time ever using a rain mitt, but I do really like these. Previously, I used the Showa Timorous waterproof gloves, and those did work well on keeping my hands dry, but because I couldn't have my digits all together and I'm very cold natured, my hands were still just really cold and miserable. So I decided to go with rain mitts and pair them with some possum down gloves. And on one day of cold rain that we had, they were really nice, but I especially appreciated them up on Ben Nevis. They kept my hands dry. They're very lightweight. The pair weighs just under an ounce. It's like 0.99 ounces. The only real downside to these is that they are pricey at $75 a pair, but it was definitely worth it to me to have that added warmth, even if I did lose some dexterity from having the mitts instead of the gloves. I also got a test on my new Paca socks. For those of y'all who are not familiar with this brand, they're made from alpaca, and they also have a lifetime guarantee like the merino alternatives you'd see like Darn Tough or Farm to Feet. I really loved these socks a lot. They were cushiony and comfortable, even on Ben Nevis with wearing trail runners that are not waterproof, so my feet were soaked. They weren't cold. The socks did keep them warm. Now, I should have maybe worn like a merino wool sock on one foot and the Paca socks on the other so I could speak to whether the alpaca kept my foot warmer than the merino wool, but unfortunately I did not do that. I feel like they were pretty comparable to the merino wool as far as how they felt and performed, but I also really appreciated that they did not get eaten by my shoes. Sometimes ankle socks, which I prefer, tend to slip down, and these did not do that. For a pack of 3 of them, I paid $48, so they're pretty comparable to the merino wool options out there. But going forward, I will definitely continue to use them and would likely purchase more. Next up, I want to talk about the trail runners I used for this trek. I went with the Topo Athletic TerraVenture 4s. Ever since I first used Topo Athletic, I've been really torn between them and the Ultra Lone Peaks. But what made me opt in on the TerraVentures for this hike is I knew I was gonna be on some improved surfaces, some roads or sidewalks or something other than, you know, a dirt trail. And from my experience on the Florida trail, the Topo Athletics kind of kept my foot a little bit more armored than the Ultra Lone Peak, so it just made sense to me. They've got a roomy toe box, which is a must for me, a rock plate, so hence the keeping your foot better armored, a Vibram sole, and also they've got a 3mm drop because the stack height is anywhere from 25 to 22 millimeters. I typically prefer a 0 drop, but a 3mm drop works for me just fine. The pair I took with me on the West Highland Way cost me $135 from Amazon, and I do want to say that I appreciate, it seems like Topo Athletic has done a little bit better job of their coloring scheme. I wear the men's shoes, and I've just had some like ugly brown ones in the past, but the ones I wore this time were gray and green, and I liked those. Next up, I finally got a good test on my Senshi Designs hoodie. I've used it before, but in this instance, I finally got to use it in the cold rain as a mid-layer, and 2 thumbs up. This hoodie is made from Polartec Alpha Direct 120 fabric. It does have like a holey surface, and I've talked about that before, so it's not superb at blocking out wind, but using it as, like I said, a mid-layer over a long sleeve shirt, under a rain jacket, it works really well at keeping you warm. What I really love about it is it keeps you insulated and you don't have to worry about it getting wet like you would down. It has a zipper on the front, so you can kind of fluctuate your temperature using that. It has a hood, which I called it a hoodie, so obviously you would think it would have a hood. And then there's also a front pocket for your hands. I didn't really use this a whole lot, but you could if you wanted to. My medium weighs 7.5 ounces and it cost me $115, and I will definitely be taking this on hikes in the future. Last but not least, I want to tell you about this new Sun Hoodie I've been using. If you noticed in the videos, I had kind of like a darker charcoal gray Sun Hoodie on. For those of y'all who might wonder what brand it is called Kuiu, K-U-I-U, and from what I understand, this is like basically a bougie hunting company apparel and different gear. The way I found out about it is my husband, who is into practical competition shooting, he's been looking for a Sun Hoodie that would keep him cool, would protect him from the sun, would dry quickly, and he landed on the Kuiu brand and liked it so much he's also gotten pants from them that he hiked in, and his day pack that he used on this trek was a Kuiu pack. I know several of y'all asked about his pack, so now you know. But when I saw how much he liked the Sun Hoodies, I checked out the Gila Women's LS Sun Hoodie that they have on their website, and I really like this Sun Hoodie. It does keep you cool, has protection from the sun up to UPF 50 plus. It's got thumb holes, so that'll help protect the back of your hands as well. It dries quickly, and I tested this out by doing shower laundry and then hanging it up to dry overnight. And it's lightweight. Mine only weighs 7 ounces. The only real downside, I would say, of these Sun Hoodies is the color selection. They're just kind of drab, but I mean, it makes sense. It's a brand that was built around hunting, so you don't really want to stand out when you're hunting. Also, they're a bit pricey at $79 a pop, but again, I really like this Sun Hoodie a lot, and I got a cheaper alternative off of Amazon before. It just didn't fit my body as well, like the cut of it, and it just wasn't as comfortable and did not keep me as cool. Well, that's all I've got for y'all today on new gear that I have tested out recently. But since we're on the topic of gear, I wanted to tell y'all that I do have an Amazon storefront now with some items listed in there, things that I either currently use or I have tested and or used in the past, and items that I do like, nothing that I don't. But especially like camera gear, the sunscreen I use, all sorts of different stuff. If it's available on Amazon, it's there, so I will link to that in the video description in case you want to check that out. I know a lot of y'all especially have been curious about the camera gear, but Basically, if you purchase anything from that storefront, you are purchasing from Amazon, but it does help support the channel. We do make a small profit from that. So if you're shopping for those things anyway, that is something you can do to help support this channel at no additional cost to you. And for those of y'all who have been using the www.dixieaz.com link and then going through my Amazon affiliate to do your regular shopping for odds and ends, I really appreciate that because that has helped me a lot over the years. So thank y'all so much for watching. If you found this video useful, don't forget to share with a friend. And if you have any questions about any of this new gear that I have been testing out, just drop those in the comments below and we will see y'all next time.